There are so many ways I get my affirmations, but this by far has proven to be the most effective way for me. Hello everyone, you are welcome back, or you are welcome to NYB with C if you're new here. My name is Chidima, and in today's video I'll be sharing how I get potent affirmations, that is affirmations that works like magic. So before I go ahead to share how I get my affirmations, I would also like to say that this year, my journey with God has been so phenomenal. Like, it should even be one for the books. So one of it is by the end of each month, God will usually give me a word for my next month, like for the new month coming. And it will come like a sentence and sometimes scriptures. Now, this doesn't mean that I don't have any other focus in terms of prayer or word study, but it just guides me generally, like to have a goal or what I'm working with. So going back to July, towards the end of July, God gave me a word for my August. Now, God is such an amazing, an amazing God. He's so amazing. He already saw how my August would look like even before I stepped into the August, and that was why he gave me that word. So August this year was one of the busiest months I've ever had. In fact, I even traveled in the month of August. Like, I was so exhausted physically, mentally, even spiritually. I was exhausted, but none of this exhaustion came from my personal time with God. And this was actually, based, it was actually the word God gave me for that August was basically centered on all of those, but I never saw it coming. So God gave me a word, deeper intimacy and purity of heart. Deeper intimacy and purity of heart. Now, sometimes this word will come with scriptures. The scriptures might just drop in my spirit. And sometimes when I hear the sentence, I just look for scripture that would, help me pray along. Now, this one didn't come with scripture, but when I heard deeper intimacy and purity of heart, I just decided to use Psalm 51. I decided myself to use Psalm 51. So the first 7 days in the month of August, I was doing the direct opposite of that word for the month. So along the line, I became exhausted, both physically and all of that. I said, okay, let me check my journal. So when I checked my journal, I discovered I was doing the very opposite of what I was supposed to be doing. So I picked up that scripture. In fact, I never read that Psalm 51. I was reading other verses, doing some other word study. So when I opened it, I read it, one to end. I read it a couple of times and I got attracted to verse 10 to 12. So whenever I am glued to a particular scripture or it comes like a highlight, I like to draw affirmations from them. So I now take notice. I now marked asterisks on it. I was using my hard copy. When I marked it asterisks, one thing I would do whenever I want to get my affirmations is I would look out for verbs, the action words. We've been doing a lot of the hearing. It is high time we start focusing on the doing, like the action words we see in the scriptures. We should pay more attention to them. So how I get my affirmations, I'll first of all highlight and then write out the verbs I saw in that particular scripture I want to use. Now, the entire chapter, Psalm 51, is what I was using to pray in the month of August based on the word God gave me. But the affirmations, because I was drawn to 10 to 12, I decided to pay close attention to it. So I started by writing out all the verbs in those verse 10 to 12, and then I'll look for synonyms or other words to replace it. This is to help me better understand it so that whenever I'm reading it, it makes more meaning to me. Now, from those words I find out, I will now go ahead and write what I want to see happen in my life from that scripture. It can be short, it can be 2 lines, it can be 3 lines, but the more you write, better understanding you have and the more effect it takes place. Now, it doesn't mean that you cannot affirm those verses just the way it is. You can also affirm it. You can even affirm the entire chapter. You can affirm the declarations that are made in church, but there's one thing in the nursing profession. There's what we call standardized nursing care plan, and then there's also what we call individualized care plan. If you are going to get an affirmation or declaration, it is best you tailor it to yourself, because you know what you want, you know your need. So even the general declarations that are being made in church or that is generalized in the scripture, you can tailor it to yourself. You can personalize it, and so the effect is being felt and it takes to action. So I'll just go ahead and read out what I have. God has erected and established a true heart for me. I have a pure and unadulterated heart. I have a refined heart, an undiluted heart. I have a neat heart, an uncontaminated heart. I have a flawless, genuine, and authentic heart. God has renewed and re-established my spirit within me. I have a loyal, faithful, and committed spirit. My spirit is devoted and dedicated to God. I have a steady, true, and constant spirit. I have a firm, determined, and uncompromising spirit. I am accepted before God's presence. God has made a fresh start in my life. He has shaped a new me from the chaos of my life. God has breathed holiness in me. The joy of my salvation is restored. I have a willing, prepared, and enthusiastic spirit to sustain me. God has brought me back from great exile and put a fresh wind on my sail. Now, it is important to note that when you are doing or saying your affirmations, don't just affirm or declare the words. Understand the meaning of what you are affirming. And this is where the little work you put into searching out for the meaning of those words, be it the verbs or the nouns. Try to see the meaning of what you are affirming. Understanding the meaning of the word you're affirming, that is how it takes effect. That is how you build your faith. That is how John chapter 6 verse 63 takes effect. And I love it in the Message translation. And it says, the spirit can make life. Sheer muscle and willpower don't make anything happen. Every word I have spoken to you is a spirit word, and it is life-making. So you see, the word of the Lord is indeed spirit, and it can make life happen. You have to understand the meaning of the word, and that is how it takes into effect. Best believe this blesses someone. Now, how do you get your affirmations? I would like to hear your views in the comment section. Do you get random words? Do you get it from the scriptures? Do you pay attention to the verbs or other words? Try to check for the meanings. Do you declare the entire passage? Do you just repeat a portion a couple of times, or do you just generally affirm what comes to your mind? Like, how do you get your affirmation and how well does it work for you? All right, this is just what I want to share. If you're still here, thank you so kindly for being here. Don't forget, it is NYB with C, and today you just watched the inspiration. Don't forget to like and subscribe.